Hello, and I hope you're all okay. So we're down at the plot today. I've got Vince with me and we're going to start working on our fruit cage, which I'm really excited about. So what we want to try and do today is inside the fruit cage try and get a structure up and ready for planting our raspberries and some of the other fruit we've got. So I've got some raspberry canes, I've got some blueberries which I will actually be planting in containers, but they will be going inside the fruit cage. I've got some pallet planters from my garden which I'm going to be putting strawberries in, but I've also got a gooseberry and a red currant. So the fruit cage is actually quite big, as you can see. It's not small, but I do want to have enough room in there for everything. So first things first, as you can see, the fruit cage is quite wonky, and that's just from the wind we've been having. So we're going to make sure that is really stable first of all. So probably some supports we might have to put in at the bottom, but that's quite an easy fix, I think. I'm saying that's quite an easy fix. Obviously Vince is going to have to look at that, so it might be an easy fix, not sure. The next thing is to sort out the structure inside and actually work out where I'm going to put everything and how I'm going to support the raspberries. I think that's the main thing. So Vince is just now at the front of the plot. There's some scrap metal down there that someone's left. I think it was a greenhouse, I think. He's actually just coming with it now over his shoulder. So we're thinking of using that maybe. We did have some wood, some posts from a pallet, which we were going to use, but we've just seen these and I think these might actually be a bit better. Here he comes. So I think they could be quite good to actually use as supports. We've got some wire that we're going to put round. So if you look at my neighbour's plot here, they've got all their fruit very similar to what I was thinking. So they've just got a frame here, and then they've got wire going across just to hold the fruit in. So I think that's quite a good idea, and I think that's probably how we're going to go for it. I have actually got my lovely rhubarbs down here. This one's looking really good, and the one in the cage is looking good. So I think I'm actually going to leave the one in the cage. I might actually leave both of them because they're actually fine. They're doing all right. I was going to move them both into a bed. I'm not sure. That is my question of the day. What would you do with my two rhubarb crowns? Would you leave them where they are because they're looking the best that they have done since I've actually planted them, or would you move them into a separate bed? Let me know. So these are the planters. I've got 3 of these that I'm going to put my strawberries in. So I'm going to have 2 of these with strawberries in, and then I'm going to have one of them. I've got some black cascade blackberries, so I'm going to put all 3 of those in one. So I'm going to have 2 beds of strawberries and 1 of the black cascade blackberry. I'm just going to see where they're going to go actually in the cage, and then that will determine where I'm going to put the other things. Okay, so I'm thinking that's my door there. I can have my strawberries here, so that's 2 beds of strawberries. My rhubarb can stay there for the time being anyway, so that's quite a good use of space, I think. So then I'm thinking in this corner here, set away a bit, having my gooseberries. That's then in the furthest part away because that's a prickly one. I don't want to be walking past that. Having my currant in this space here, my red currant, and then having my raspberry canes along here, and then I can have my other raised planter just here with my blackberries in, or I could probably have it in the middle there. Maybe that could be even an idea to just separate those 2 areas. I think that's probably what I'm going to do. So when Vince gets back, we'll get started on the raspberry fat frame, which will be going along here. And I think we're going to go for the same sort of thing as my neighbours, where you've just got a frame like this and then the wire across, and you've got the 2 plants. That is the idea. And just while we're waiting for Vince, I'll just show you inside the polytunnel. It's looking amazing. My purple sprouting broccoli is looking absolutely fantastic. It's looking so good. And then I've also got some broccoli, which is also looking really good. That's starting to head up. I've got some kale here. That looks really good as well. So it's all looking good. Nice cabbages there. I planted these a bit later, so they're a bit smaller, but to be honest, they're looking good. And all my garlic is in between there. My lettuce is looking really good. So I'm really pleased I actually started all them off last year, because now they're literally close to being harvested. I say close, you know, we've still got a while, but there's going to be something coming soon, which feels really good. So what I'm going to start doing while I'm waiting for Vince, I'm just going to start filling these little planters. So I've got some homemade compost, which I've got in the back, and I've also got farmyard manure. So I'm going to get the wheelbarrow started of my homemade compost and start getting these filled up, because I'd like to get the strawberries actually planted up in there today. Okay, so I'm now going to fill up the small planters that I'm going to be putting the strawberries in. I've just noticed at the bottom of some of them, the fabric, I mean, these have been used in my garden for years, so some of the fabric at the bottom is ripped. I'm just going to leave it in there, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line these planters with some cardboard, because that will keep the soil from being lost out the bottom, and I think that'll act as quite a good liner inside it as well. So just while I'm doing that and filling cardboard in the planters, Vince is just adding some stakes to the corners of the fruit cage just to give it that extra support when it is windy. I mean, it didn't actually go anywhere, it was just obviously in the soil wobbling a bit. So he's just putting those posts in. So he's already put one there, and then he's just going to do that in the four corners just to give that a little bit more support. Okay, so I have filled half of the planter with some homemade compost. So that's half full, and then I've just filled this wheelbarrow with some farmyard manure and some compost, and I'm just going to put that all on the top of the planter, and then I'm going to plant my strawberries inside it. Okay, I'm going to dig up the strawberries now. So I'm going to do these 5 here. These are actually jumbo strawberries. I think they will actually fill that one bed. Okay, now to get them planted. Okay, strawberries are planted, and now it's for the main job of the day, getting some sort of structure in the fruit cage for my raspberries. Okay, so Vince is just digging a hole that we're going to put a post in. So we're going to have, we just had to think about it. I think we're going to have the raspberries at the back here. So 2 raspberries. So Vince is just digging a hole here and here, and then we're going to have a frame at the back. We're trying to leave enough room around it so that it's got room to grow and spread as much as it wants. Because that's one thing I didn't want to do. I didn't want to overfill the fruit cage. Even though I want as much as I possibly can, I've still got 2 blueberry plants, which will be in pots, but they'll still be in the fruit cage, a red currant and a gooseberry. So I want to make sure there's enough space for everything. Okay, so it's a little bit too tall. So Vince is just going to see if he can cut it down a bit. So the battery has just gone on the GoPro. So all 4 batteries have now gone. So I'm filming on my phone. So if I sound a bit different or the picture's different, that is why. Okay, so Vince has got some wire and he's literally just feeding it through. There's some holes already in the metal posts that we've sort of found and reused. So we're just going to have one here, and then there's another hole in the metal here. So we're just going to have 2 wires running across, and that should be enough. That should be absolutely fine. Now that should be enough structure there for the raspberries. I think that'll be absolutely fine, and that's plenty of room for 2. You can't really see from the camera how big the space is, but there is enough space there for 2, definitely. So Vince is just finishing off tightening that wire. Don't want it too tight, but it's just securing that. So I may end up moving these strawberry beds, but at the time being, they're absolutely fine there. The rhubarb's there for the time being. And I'll probably come down maybe the end of this week or maybe even next week and actually plant the fruit that I've got. I'm not going to be doing it today. I do need to have a think about where I want to put the other bits and pieces. I've got containers for the blueberries, so I can actually get them planted up and just have them in here. That's absolutely fine because they can be moved around. But it's only really the 2 raspberries, the gooseberry and the currant that can't be moved around. So these strawberry beds, and the same for the Black Cascade small blackberries that I'm going to have in here, that's going to absolutely be fine because they can be moved around, and the blueberries can be moved around because they're going to be in pots. But those other 4 things, they're not going to be able to be moved around, so I need to have a real think about where I want to put them. So that is it for today. Really pleased with that. We've got the first job in the fruit cage done. We've got our structure for our raspberries up. Still need to think about the blueberries, the currant and the gooseberry, but that is the first step done, which I'm really pleased about. The sun's out a tiny bit, but I think it's going to rain for the rest of the week. So not sure how much more I'll get done this week, but I'm pleased with what I got done today. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you again soon.